I just want to show you some of the, or tell you about some of the common plot approaches. And if we go to page 145, that's where it helps me if you have the book instead of me writing this all down. Basically, there's, I mentioned 4 different plot approaches there. Cause and effect is the first one. And basically, you can actually visualize that quite easily. Cause and effect, something happens, and then there's a reaction, right? It's at the level of the scene sequel. Thematic is another one that is truly related to theme, and sometimes people mix up a story and they'll think it doesn't have a plot, but really it does. It's more theme. Who's seen Napoleon Dynamite? Oh gosh, you guys haven't seen that movie? It's great. It has absolutely no plot. Wrong. It has theme. The plot is all in theme. It's who these people are, what their issues are, and how that plays out. And definitely there is plot there. In theme, the plot is tied, the common thread that ties them is more to do with the relationship, who the characters are, what their motivations are. Most literary fiction follows more of a thematic plot line. Most action movies are more cause and effect. You see that, the difference? Another plot approach is called lyric, which is kind of interesting, and it's out there because essentially it discusses or describes a kind of plot that spirals, that just gets deeper and deeper, and more like a cyclical thing, more like music, right? The last one, and there is one more after that, the last one is Hero's Journey. Most of you have maybe heard of that, people who are writing stories. No? Hero's Journey, it's just that. It's a journey. It's a mythic journey of our hero, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time with that one because it essentially is one of the most popular plot approaches. It works, it's popular because it works really well, and it ties in some very interesting and important elements of storytelling that will work very, very well for you as a writer. Most really popular movies all follow that. Star Wars is a really good example of Hero's Journey. So yeah, mythic journey of our hero on a quest. And the quest can be a number of things. We'll discuss that in a bit. Nancy Kress, a well-known mystery science fiction writer, also discussed a plot approach that she called being at war. And that's cool because one of the #1 things that you need to have in any story, and I submit in any nonfiction and memoir particularly, is tension, conflict of some kind. Imagine if you didn't have that in a story. You wouldn't read it. Honestly, you wouldn't. I mean, you might read these short snippet things in the newspaper, well, even in the newspaper, that's a good example of stories that have conflict and tension, right? Does this apply to magazines? Definitely, definitely. I write, yes, and you can take it with a grain of salt. You can take it with a grain of salt, but I am saying what I said, what I had up here, is everything is story. Everything that people write is a story. It's our story, it's his story, it's her story. What's going on in Haiti, that's their story. It's our story, it's the world's story. Do you see what I'm getting at? And the issues and what's important and the conflicts and the tension are all there. And it's up to the journalist, the writer, the author, to bring those out and make them important. What's important in that particular story. There are many, many stories in Haiti, for instance. Every single person has a story. Groups have stories that are separate yet again. You see how I'm nesting it all? And the world, the globe, has a story with Haiti. Haiti is like a plot issue that is affecting everybody. How are you reacting to Haiti, for instance? That's your story within. You see what I'm getting at? So every article, I write travel pieces for various magazines. They have stories in them too. They all have a beginning, a middle, and an end, a hook. The hook only hooks you if you know what you're doing. If the hook, again, leads to the promise. I'm going to tell you a story about a dog that can read. That's my hook. Then I tell you the story about the dog that's reading, and then at the end, I tell you why I told that story. Compelling writing always tells a story, whether you realize it or not. And by realizing it, you take control of the story. And particularly if you're coupling it with your audience. Who is reading this? I am writing this for you. And again, it's the story promise. And in the hero's journey, basically, it's a journey, just briefly again, of the hero who comes from the ordinary world, which is, you know, everything's ticky-boo. Something's niggling, right? Something's not quite right. That's step number one. That's in the beginning, the ordinary world. Then there's a decision to act, and he moves into the special world, which is the action, where things are happening. And then he comes back to the ordinary world with his gift. And that's the return.
Are you a writer looking to get published? Then visit thepassionatewriter.com and purchase The Fiction Writer. Get published right now. It's a guide that provides the basic tools that every beginning writer needs to get published. It's packed with real examples and practical exercises. This is your shortcut to getting published. Author Nina Munteanu is lively and humorous and makes learning fun. Give your book the chance it deserves to get published. Visit thepassionatewriter.com now to learn more.